back to the Robezoid channel. I'm your host, Mark, and on the docket today we have a test drive on the brand of Christian Dior, and this is part of La Collection Privée line. This is their patchouli-based fragrance, Patchouli Impérial. Now, I haven't done one of these since May of this year, so I may be a little rusty on a test drive. I was basically 3/4 done the testing of this one prior to me doing this mega unboxing when Fragflex decided to send me hundreds of bottles that I'm unboxing on my channel. So it'll be nice to do something a little different, show a little bit of my skill here, because unboxings, it shows a little bit of what I can dissect with an unboxing, but it's not fair. It's just an unboxing. So I finally recently just finished it off. So part of my write-up was springtime, because that's when I was testing this thing. And then the later part of this testing, it actually worked really well. Later part of this testing is now fall. I know it's September here in Canada, but it's fall. The leaves are falling. That's why the waffle shirts are back now, because it's getting a little cold. So I finally finished it off. So first of all, welcome back to Test Drive. Put in the comments below, welcome back, baby. We missed you. Test Drive Thursdays. Now, Patchouli Impérial was not even on my radar when I got this bottle. And as you can see, there's a big dent. Now, that's not just me. This is a 250 ml of fragrance. This was not me. Just letting you know, I haven't had this bottle for, 20 years and just exhausted everything. I'm not a decanter, so, I kind of am. But this is from my personal collection. This is my money. I actually got this on Facebook. It was part of, Facebook has like things, if you're into, discontinued fragrance or harder to find fragrances, and I'm not saying this is harder to find, but at some point it was, not too many people were selling this. But Patchouli Impérial was part of that Facebook sale. I was looking for Oud Ispahan. I'm thinking circa, there's a video on an unboxing, on a haul basically on my channel, but I think it was like late 2018, give or take, when I was looking for Oud Ispahan, and I found a partial, but it was in a bundle with this. And the Oud Ispahan was like this much juice, and this, this was kind of like a throw-in basically. And the seller didn't want to split them. Thank God. Like by the way, this is a jewel. He didn't want to split them, and this was, it wasn't really worth much of anything, honestly, as far as price. Like, it was under $100 if you're going to sell this by itself. There's not much juice here, but I am so glad that seller actually, I didn't push them too much because I was kind of interested in this one. I was like, you know what? I'll get them both. This is a gem. So we're going to delve into this one, and I can't wait to do the test drive. Let's start the engine. Let's go. Now, before we get into anything, if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Yes, I'm doing a lot of unboxings, but now that you're going to see a little more why people subscribe to me. Unboxings isn't really fair. So hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, especially to my diehards that you've been going through these unboxings. Show me, and the like button is going to show me, the comments are going to show me that you want test drives. I'll give them to you. Much appreciated. Merci beaucoup for your support. Let's go under the hood. Wow, I haven't said that in a while. Let's go under the hood. Let's take a look at some stats on this one. It was released back in 2011. I believe this thing was reformulated back in 2018. Dior goes through these motions, and some people blame Demachy. Not really, blame LVMH. That's the company that owns them. They will make the big decisions. Really, a creative director, honestly, as far as his job, I'm assuming, yeah, it's part of his job to, obviously, create and approve and all that. But there is board meetings that say, you know what, we're gonna have to cut some stuff. We're gonna do this. We're gonna have to do that. So the creative director is still a hired gun. Keep that in mind. So release date 2011. So it's a young Dior Privé. Nose behind this, of course, is he retired now? I gotta check on Demachy. What is he doing now? I'm sure he's peddling something. The in-house perfumier at the time was François Demachy, and it is the pen behind this. He gets a lot of flack within our fragrance community with a couple talking heads, which is fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. However, I think Demachy does deserve some praise within the fragrance community from real fragrance reviewers, right? I'm not talking about the talking heads that get free bottles and go like this. No, like actual people that have things to say. Dimashi, yes, he has broad strokes, and what do I mean by that is that, yeah, you're going to have, and a lot of perfumiers have broad strokes, like Francis K, he's got his ambers, he's got his rose, that's a big broad stroke. However, there is small little broad strokes, smaller strokes, pause, in fragrances that will give you those small details. And there is some small details in here, however, it is a patchouli, broad stroke, amber, broad stroke, sandalwood. That's the trifecta, but there is small nuances from the patchouli. Patchouli changes and morphs. It's almost like a chameleon in this. It's going to give you different facets. Now that could be from secondary notes, and we're going to get into that. So let's take a look at the major notes on this one. And I already told you about the pillars in this one. They are pillars. It is a patchouli-based fragrance as per the tag, so you're not going to get sticker shock. It is a patchouli. You are going to get amber. So a lot of people that aren't fan of like woody ambers, things like that, there is an amber in here in the back end, and it is woody. It's got that sandalwood cedarwood combo, but the sandalwood is a major player in this one. So you are going to get, and I'm going to get into it, a jarring patchouli, and then it muffles down to a ambery sandalwood patchouli, so a three-headed monster. So all right, now a lot of you haven't seen, your new subscribers, welcome, bonjour, welcome to the channel. I'm gonna blow your socks off as far as dissecting. Definitely different than an unboxing. You haven't seen a full dissecting, you know, get yourself some popcorn, get yourself a coffee. It's gonna be a long video, but I feel like this is not a review. It's not a review, but it is a dissecting of several days of wearing, but it is a good introductory to what I can do on the channel. And really, if you're on the cusp of purchasing something like this, especially blind buying, I am going to dissect it to the best of my knowledge. So let me do my thing here, and let's get into Patchouli Impérial. Now let's start delving into this one. It is my scent of the day today. I am wearing it. I actually have the dry down on here on purpose to remind me of it, and it is giving me that ambery sandalwood glow with a little bit of patchouli, and we're going to get into that. But I left some skin open here for an introductory. So to remind me of the introduction, of course I have my notes of the several days that I wore it, but Patchouli Impérial. Now, many reviewers state that this one comes out light with the citrus, and then you wait, and then there's a boom of the patchouli. But for me, personally, yeah, there's a little bit of lemon, and I believe that's from the coriander, so let's put the coriander in the note breakdown now. Boom, there it goes. There's a little lemon from that coriander, but that's about it for me. There's not much of a show here. This is jarring to the system. It is, if you're familiar of patchoulis, like let's say Coromandel, Lidge is a good one. They send the Galin Extreme. And a lot of patchoulis, there's a lot of them that are softer. Some of them are darker, denser, and some are jarring. Like Coromandel is not jarring. It's very smooth. It's Chanel quality, right? They smooth it out with that white chocolate. Now this one right here, ooh, this is a bold patchouli. It hits you in the, like it slaps you in the face. It is very bold. Now think Lidge, like it kind of has that. It's not as dense or as dank as L'Instant de Guerlain. But it has a little bit of that. It has personality. It's not a very thin patchouli. It has personality, but it will tame off, and it's going to round out beautifully. So you're going to see there is going to be, I feel like this is a two-parter. And again, a lot of people are talking about, you know, Dimashi and his broad strokes. There is a transition in here, a very flawless transition, but it's not a lot of transitions, if that makes sense. There's one big transition that it goes from, hey, I'm a patchouli, I'm strong, I'm you know, I'm green and all this, and then it just rounds out to ambery sandalwood. It's really, it goes linear in that second part once it mellows. So what do I get up top? Well, it is a patchouli. It is, and that's not a mistakable piece. You cannot say this is not a patchouli, it's far from it. This note is going to be central throughout the veins of the release. I sense an amber note already and a sandalwood. All three are major pillars. All three stick around. Volumes, various degrees. So patchouli's turned right up in the introduction. Amber, I would say midway, sandalwood, low. And then you're gonna start, sandalwood goes up, amber goes up, patchouli turned down, and then they're almost on even keel once you start getting into the dry down. So that is basically the glue of Patchouli Impérial. They're going to go all the way through, and the volumes, of course, are going to be different. Now, the opening patchouli smells dark. It does smell spicy. It's dry. It's dry, 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 dry. Almost like there's no green left, but there's a lot of green in this release. It darkened to brown almost. Like think of a patchouli leaf, and you see that in pictures of patchouli leaf that's almost like a leathery dark brown, like the juice basically. It brings me to that, but it doesn't. Because the patchouli is a chameleon in this one. It really changes its face. Now, you are going to get some green aspects from the coriander. The coriander gives its familiar green, spicy facets, and it is very much a high secondary note in this introduction with the patchouli. So really this introduction, you know, you got your amber and your sandalwood, but they're, you know, the volumes are turned low. Patchouli and coriander are your main pillars in this opening. You're not gonna miss them. I would dare to say, yeah, this is a coriander patchouli opening. Forget the other notes. This is all you're going to be getting for a little bit. The patchouli in this opening at times goes a little chocolatey too. I saw that, and that's why I'm talking about chameleon, and that could be from various other notes. Benzoin can kind of do that and give you kind of an imagery of that. And that trick goes in and out of the scent, so it's not full-on chocolatey patchouli. And it was trying to trick me. What kind of patchouli am I dealing with here? So there's some chameleon aspects here. The opening shock also adds a little balsamic quality. I don't think just a straight up patchouli would shock someone. There's a little bit of a balsam right here, and it gives you a little harshness, but it's behind the patchouli and the coriander, so it's not full on. So it never shines in this release, but it's a complex low secondary note that really ties together the patchouli and kind of gives it a little bit of growl. I love this initial blast of Patchouli Impérial. Some people may not, because it's a much more friendly fragrance in the back end. But there's a lot of reviews out there that are saying that this is like a friendly patchouli, and it's not just all that. So I wanted to kind of give you that word of warning. But patchouli lovers, you know, if you like L'Instant de Guerlain, you like Coromandel, you're gonna like this. Now in this opening, it does have some complexity. So you start sensing, and within minutes, you know, I'm starting to sense here the patchouli kind of volume going down. Like the volume of the patchouli is probably a 10 out of 10 here as far as volume goes. It's starting to dial back slowly. And then you start seeing some of the complexity of that back end. Sandalwood, of course. So it's softening the scent slowly. Iris is peeking through, which will have a larger role down the line. They try to smooth out the scent here, and it will eventually win that battle in the mid. In the mid, this goes very soft, and I feel very pleasing for patchouli. The sandalwood is a soft, creamy one. So you are going to get some privé aspects. And that's one thing that I really like about this release, is that there is some grunge to it, but there's also some je ne sais quoi of a privé scent. It has to have some sort of class to it. And there's a soft, creamy sandalwood coming through and a powdery iris touch. So you are going to get some powder in this mid. So keep that in mind. Now, the patchouli for the most part is a dry, herbal, earthy kind. Benzoin comes in early here, almost giving its roasted coffee accord. Perhaps this is where I'm getting this association with chocolate. That could make sense. There's a vanillic aspect as well when benzoin is introduced in the release. It is woody, it is earthy, it is leafy here, and I felt the patchouli introduction was harsher than a Coromandel, which brought the patchouli almost holding it in your hand, and it slaps you in the face with the patchouli and then holds your hand by forgiving you and saying, okay, now we're gonna go a little softer here. So you're forgiven, Patchouli Impérial, with that slap. I like those kind of jarring introductions, like here I am, I'm a patchouli. You can't say I'm not. But then it starts mellowing into what it's supposed to be for the several hours that it's going to be on your skin. Now moving into the mid, and this is where the several hours of fragrance are going to come into play. Now the transition, first of all, we got to hit that. The transition from brash, we'll say, to smooth is absolutely flawless. Like on day one of testing, I was like, oh, this turned. And I was like, when did this turn? Because, you know, I was trying to figure out when, you know, which hour is this thing kind of curving into this mid. And it just kind of shows you the talent that Dimashi has in transitions and blending. Patchouli Impérial turns almost into a traditional patchouli at this point. No, it had its traditional patchouli, sorry, in the introduction with its thickness. And you got like a soil-like feel. And now it's turning more into a thinner patchouli, a cleaner patchouli, almost like a less moody one. It really has, you know, some some wearability to it, I guess, for a lot more people than just patchouli lovers. The ambery glow turns up the volume, gives the scent a little bit of sweetness backbone. The sandalwood also brings his friend, of course, the cedar wood, to the mix and starts getting a little woodier. And the volume of the woods is going to continue to amp up. The more it's on your skin, things are going to start mellowing down, down, down. And actually you're left, once this thing is in its final course, patchouli's left a little bit. Lots of the woods is almost primary at the end of this thing, and you're getting a little bit of that ambery glow, and that's it. So cedar and sandalwood really amp up in the back end of this, and the iris is just enough to give this set some class, a little bit of classier, a privé type of feel to the fragrance. And you're going to get, of course, that powdery take from that. So be careful with that for people that don't like powder. Again, there is some complexity in this, so it's not just the talky thing or powdery bomb. There is several facets. The patchouli still doing front and center, so it's well hidden within the notes. So keep that in mind as well. Now the moody patchouli gives a little mentholated temper tantrum. That's kind of what I'm calling it in the mid here in this back end. And it almost tries to, like a chameleon, tries to change itself to blend with these softer notes and the smoother notes. And these other notes are starting to be on par with the patchouli. It's almost like the patchouli got angry and like, you know, I'm just going to go mentholated then. But it goes in and out of strength, like the patchouli as far as the mentholated part, the chocolatey part, is just bits and pieces in and out, but it goes back to its regular old earthy dankness throughout the scent. Another thing to note is there's a very thin, smoky appeal, almost Gaiac wood. It almost made me feel like there was Gaiac wood in here. I didn't see it in the note breakdown, but perhaps maybe a labdanum, but it's not as thick as a labdanum can. And that would, obviously, if there's labdanum in here, it would explain the whole ambery glow. But I feel like it's Gaiac wood because Gaiac wood smoke mostly is very thin. And I can see that here. So a little bit of smoke, a little bit of interest, a little bit of texture for me. And that's what I like about fragrances like this, is that if it was just the ambery woody thing in the back end, it would be kind of boring. So there is some things to kind of keep me interested in this release. So once you get here, the scent is fairly linear. So there you go, there's your book. Enjoy the show as the scent profile does not move. So if you don't like that, you know, once you hit 30 minutes with this one, you're probably gonna kind of notice where this thing is going, and you're gonna see, you know, that's gonna be several hours in. It's not gonna move much. This one ends with patchouli in its thinnest form now, with the wood still kicking around, actually at its peak. All in all, this is a patchouli fragrance through and through, any good one at that. That is what I came out with several days of testing. So overall, Patchouli Impérial gives you that old world style. I love when I test drive fragrances and they speak to me, and this one spoke. I always enjoy when blending is outstanding, like this. The central note patchouli does its thing here. It shows you different faces. It might not do that for everybody, but for me, like I said, it was chameleon-like, so it does show little bits and pieces, but stays true to itself. Secondary notes pair well with that primary, and transitions are almost flawless. So Dimashi, as far as his skill set, it was on full display with Patchouli Impérial, and unfortunately, this is not one of the sexy Christian Dior privés where people really gush over it. But honestly, there is some really good pieces in here. And it does give you that old world style, like I was talking about, like the woods are almost dusty and used. The patchouli, well traveled. It had that air of, it was bringing me someplace. This isn't the biggest or boldest patchouli in the game. You can probably name, several that are bigger, bolder, and stick to a true blue high primary patchouli. Javoy has one, among others, that give you that jarring hit. And this one kind of gave you like a little peekaboo of what those kind of fragrances do, but then it goes back to being more of a classy one, a tamed up patchouli. Demachy classed it up as per Dior briefs, I'm assuming, but also showed its rough edges at the same time. Really played both sides. Top-notch scent, top-notch. So let's get into seasons, day, night, versatility, performance. It's been a while since I've been talking about, I haven't talked about performance in a while in a fragrance review. Ooh, I'm rusty. Okay, seasons. Patchouli, honestly, patchouli as a note, if you're asking me, patchouli, what's the best seasons for it? It's the tweener seasons. It's spring and fall. Why in Canada? Of course, the leaves are falling now. It is getting cooler. There's a lot of wind. You're getting rain. Same thing with spring. You go on the other side of the coin. You're getting a lot more sun. It's melting the snow. A lot of dankness, dampness in the air, things like that. Patchouli just plays well in the sandbox when the earth is a little wet, a little damp. So fall, like right now in Canada, this thing, like the last 2 days of testing, I only had 2 days more of testing of this. 5 of them were in the spring and they were great. But the 2 days of testing in the fall, which I consider this fall here in Canada, it's sweater weather, so it counts. It just is crazy shine. So fall, you can obviously wear this in winter, start of spring, the end of spring even, depending on your climate. Day or night, I feel like this could be more of a nighttime scent because it has that personality, but there's nothing wrong with wearing this in a cool fall day. Like if you're going for a walk or something, a gloomy spring day, right? So it can play both sides of the coin here, which is really nice. It ups its versatility. Really this fragrance, as much as patchoulis and versatility don't really go hand in hand, depending, right? I'm talking about the dank, dark stuff, right? Versatility is not there. This has that, a little bit of that non-versatile patchouli where you're really enjoying yourself. You're like, okay, this is really, the robust stuff like real frag heads love. But it also has that je ne sais quoi privé démâché à Dior that has that classiness that once that initial hit is gone, there's still something a little interesting in the back end of this one, but at the same time still playful and good enough for a day or night. Versatility, I just hit that. For patchouli, it's really good. It's not, there are thinner patchoulis in the game, but once you start watering down the patchouli, the less of a patchouli fragrance it is, personally. And the versatility, of course, go up. So this plays really, toes the line really, really well in the versatility section of things. Performance. Privés, most of them fairly good. Again, I'm talking about the darker ones. I'm not talking about the florals that, they were trying to imitate Chanel's there for a while. This one right here, longevity, I was getting an easy 8 to 10 hours on my skin every single wear, and projection is above average. I was getting noticed with this one. So it really does have some power to it, which is perfectly fine with me. It's not beast mode as far as, projection goes. Longevity, there is some times that I noted in my 7 days. And again, these test drives aren't, that's why I call them, they're not reviews. Within 7 days, there is some gaps that I'm just like, ooh, longevity went 10 plus hours, right? 12, 15 on some days. Other days it went to 6 to 7. And that's why I just amalgamate it and just kind of do an average for you, 8 to 10. But I feel like this may have a little more power than I'm suggesting. I'm just saying, but 8 to 10 projection above average is excellent for a scent like this. So here we are at my final thoughts. Let's go back to it. Yeah, while others from the Privé line from Dior get all the accolades, Patchouli Impérial just gives you that slow burn. The underrated one, perhaps. Not the mass appealing Fève Délicieuse, nor the hard to find Vetiver or Cuir Canage, both excellent scents by the way. or the cult legends of Mitza and Oud Ispahan, or even Leather Oud for the right nose, of course. This is exactly how this scent stumbled in my collection, just like where it slotted in the Privé line as an afterthought, a throw-in for Oud Ispahan purchase. May have turned into one of the best throw-ins in many transactions I've done in this fragrance community. I feel like I made a good decision. Now, I applaud the seller for sticking to their guns. I wasn't very hard you know, he wasn't selling Oud Ispahan in this for really expensive. They're all low partials, but I got a good deal. Now, Patchouli Impérial may have been the Dior answer to Coromandel, yes, from Chanel. And it was a proper response, I feel. However, the scent never got the glowing praise that a Coromandel would get in this fragrance community. And perhaps the Chanel purists, this is blasphemy for me to even putting them in the same genre, in the same idea. At the end of the day, my 7-day testing of Patchouli Impérial was sublime. And my thoughts of this being a great perfume never changed from day 1 to 7. Day 1, I knew what I was sniffing. Day 7 just confirmed it after several days. Yeah, it's a great test. It was a great test. And the last few testings in this cooler weather really made this one shine even more. I feel like fall and this go hand in hand. A solid Privé. By the way, this is not a review. I know, just my thoughts with this scent for a few days. Review coming soon in 2039 on my channel, if you're still subscribed. So yeah, Patchouli Impérial and I, several days done. This has been on my desk like an unfinished product for months and months, and I was kind of getting tired of seeing my bottle of Patchouli Impérial right beside my computer. It was reminding me, hey, it was actually collecting dust. I had to dust the cap a few times over the months. I said, you know what? Let's start wearing it again. I've just been very busy with, of course, the unboxing. So it's nice to finally... Unboxings aren't a deep dive. It's not really my forte. This is what I enjoy doing, is sitting with a fragrance, enjoying the fragrance, write notes about a fragrance. This was rather enjoyable. I'm happy that this was the test drive to do. If it was a less enjoyable one, Now I'm done with this one. It's time for you to hit us up in the comments below. What do you think of it? Looking forward to hearing the comments, seeing the comments. I can't hear your comments, not yet. Of Patchouli Impérial, like a underdog of the Christian Dior Privé line. I feel an excellent patchouli. And as always, a great pour fragrance will make a lasting impression. Choose your scent wisely. Thanks for watching, YouTube. Have a good one.